Ready Check Radio. Good evening, chat. It is Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's time for Ready Check Radio's Snowbound Blizzard podcast. I'm your host, Mike Byrne. I've got some friends with me. We're going to talk about getting ready for Shadowlands, since we don't know exactly when it will be here. We thought maybe there's some people like me that are returning after going through the BFA story. Or maybe there's some people that are even a little more casual and skip BFA entirely. Maybe skip Draenor, maybe skip Legion, maybe haven't been here in a while. And we thought that our panel of experts could help you get caught up on what you should do, assuming you have anywhere from 2 weeks to 12 weeks-ish, by our estimates, to get ready for Shadowlands. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the new Hearthstone expansion we teased last week, and then we've got some other odds and ends in the world of Blizzard. But first, joining me to talk it through, Mr. Dom Greco. What's up, Zista?
Hello. How are you doing today?
You look like you're in a much more peaceful place today.
Last
week, you were on the verge of being sucked into the maw. Today, a little more peaceful.
Now I'm in exile, just reaching out for someone, anyone.
Yes.
Tried pretty hard for that one, huh?
Yeah, it was a reach, if you ask me.
Oh, God.
We're off to a flying start. Sure to exile us both by the end of the show.
Yeah.
Kristen DeVita, what's up, Kat? How are you?
Hi. Great. Doing better before this started, really. The last couple of minutes, I think I might have like a headache starting over here.
Chad is threatening the unfollows already. That took almost no time at all. And I guess we should explain. So if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, thank you. Welcome. Head on over to readycheckradio.com so you can follow us everywhere else. Zista and Kat use faux backgrounds and they're World of Warcraft-ish. Otherwise, that like whole segment doesn't make any. Like if you're listening on Spotify, you're like, where is he? Like, okay, It's peaceful. Was he doing the podcast from his freaking yard? What's going on?
Yeah, it's like I bought a comedian CD one time, and they're explaining all of their jokes for the first 10 minutes because it's all visual-based puns on an audio CD. It just really did not work very well.
It's like a Dimitri Martin CD. Just flipping the whiteboard or whatever. Okay, so let's roll right into it and talk about some World of Warcraft. We've got a little bit of downtime, some things to talk about. So good time for a podcast to spin up, right? When the game's got basically nothing going on. Besides a pre-patch. We still don't know when our Scourge invasion is coming, so I figured what we would do today is we'll take this little bit of opportunity, as I mentioned before, to kind of, you two are very, very experienced in the game in a couple different areas. You all have your individual fortes on what you like to do, but I'm coming back to the game from basically having bought BFA, played through the story, and then really didn't do the raiding throughout the rest of the tiers. Just the expansion did not capture me that way like some previous expansions. Now, I am enjoying what I'm doing right now, which is just, leveling some druids and some mages. My druid hit 41 last night, so we're almost there to 50. I don't know why I'm doing this because I have like 9 level capped characters anyway, but just kind of replaying through it all, seeing what it's kind of like at a new player's perspective, maybe just joining. Granted, a decade and a half of WoW experience certainly gives me a little bit of an edge, I'm sure. But I figured, if somebody like me that's maybe got a little bit of catch up to do as far as maybe grabbing certain things before Shadowlands, and some of those that may be even further behind, skipped a few expansions, I thought you two guys could offer some really, really good advice. So that's where we're going to cater this beginning section to. Those of you that aren't quite sure what you should be doing right now if you're just coming back, Or if you're an active player and you just really don't have anything to do, maybe we can throw something at you to do. So what I want to do first is ask the two of you, have you decided on mains for Shadowlands? What are you going to be maining once the expansion starts? So let's start with you, Kat.
Demon Hunter.
Oh.
I really love Demon Hunter. And I went back and forth a little bit between, well, I had a few different ideas kind of kicking around, and I was like, do I want to be a shaman? I've never played a shaman before. Do I want to do this paladin thing? And I did level a ret paladin, and I did have a lot of fun with it. But I just keep coming back to my Demon Hunter. So I'll probably stick with that guy.
Do you DPS? Do you tank? What are you doing on the Demon Hunter?
I primarily tank. I will do some off-spec shit DPS from time to time.
Because I'm not generally a tank in most MMOs. I'm a caster, but I loved demon hunting tanking in Legion. But I didn't do any in BFA, but I absolutely loved it in Legion.
Still so much fun. A little bit less survivable, I guess. A little less beastly in BFA than it was in Legion, mostly because the mechanics and the content targeting has shifted around and some of the class stuff has changed, but still leaping around, running everywhere, turning into demons, exploding with fire, trapping things in runes.
It's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong with that.
It's so much fun.
Zista, what are you taking into the expansion?
Well, I played a rogue all the way up until I want to say, I think it was right at the start of Legion when they like changed everything. Like I was a rogue for a good 14 years of this game, or 13, whatever, 12, 13 years of this game. And I think the only other max level character I had at the time for alts, because I really don't play alts very much, was a mage. So choosing between those, I had to pick a demon hunter as well. But I don't know. I didn't like the rogue after they switched it to like the pirate thing. I haven't actually tried playing my rogue again since all the changes here, because I really just absolutely hated what they did to it so much that I had picked up a demon hunter in Legion, and I've been playing the demon hunter ever since. But I'm on the opposite side. I play the other spec. I play the DPS. I think I may have switched into tank spec once in my entire career of a demon hunter. So
and it was accidental.
It was intentional to be able to tank something that was actually from this expansion to tank something from last expansion. So
now see, I have actually demon hunted tanking in a group with Zista, who provided bribes to the healer to keep me between 5 and 15% as much as possible. So it's just a blast. It's like, even if you're not running Mythic, we're going to make it a Mythic. We're going to make it as challenging as we can.
And he's also not the one pulling mobs.
No. And never. If I'm in a group with Zista, and I can't wait to do so in Shadowlands again, as the tank, I never actually get to pull. I get to pick up. That's my job. Yeah. I pick up. Speaking of that, I am going to run Druid in tank spec, in Guardian spec, going into the expansion. That was my first real tanking experience in an MMO, was in Wrath of the Lich King, Ice Crown Citadel, when our raid team needed a tank. And so I was like, okay, screw it. Fine, I'll roll a tank and I'll learn how to do this mess. In Final Fantasy XI, prior to that, and other MMOs, I just tanking didn't really hold in, and I loved it. And I loved when Demon Hunter came out. Yeah, it is. I love it. So I'm re-leveling a druid again. I have a max level one, so I'm not sure why I keep doing this. I'm having fun leveling it, so why not?
Just to get the experience of it all, right?
It gets you all back up to speed because now you've played it in the order that you get the abilities. So, if somebody,
I feel like leveling the character new, it helps a lot too, with when the class gets changed so much.
Yep,
so.
Absolutely. So I'll be rolling in with big fat bear ass into Shadowlands. So I look forward, Zista, to some fantastic Mythic runs with you and the crew.
You know it.
Hey, if you decide you hate bear, you can always go moonkin. They're going to be
Absolutely.
beastly.
Yeah.
That's
They're
why the
going to
druid is
be
so
Absolutely.
versatile.
so good.
So let's try and take a little look at this real quick, because I wanted to point out, and I know this isn't going to mean a lot to a more casual player or anything like that, but pretty progressive guild Exorcist is actually changing factions because of this expansion. And one of the primary reasons that they believe that this is being changed is specifically for Shadowlands raids, Castle Nathria, that's going to have a lot of, well, let's just say bleeding damage throughout it, just a little bit. And so they're switching from Horde to Alliance, particularly leaning towards dwarf characters because of Stoneform, to kind of negate that. And I thought that was really interesting, like for an entire guild to decide, progression guild, we're going to do this. So I wanted to ask you, do you ever take things like that into consideration? Like, none of us is in a hardcore world first progression type raid group, but some of us are in more serious raid groups than others. Is that something that, like, Kat, your raid group would sit and take a look at? Or is it just, you know what? These are our characters. We're Horde. We're Alliance. We'll figure out how to deal with the bleed.
So this has been going on for a while.
Oh,
back
absolutely.
before
Yeah.
Guild changes and faction changes were even easily accomplished. You saw it with the Blood Elf racial. You see it with the Night Elf racial Shadow Meld in the Mythic Plus competitive space. There's a reason why over half, the overwhelming majority of Mythic Plus competition teams are Alliance. I don't have a problem with it if they want to, spend that kind of money and put that kind of, I don't know, if they want to be that dedicated to the game, go for it.
Yeah.
If you want to be world first, if you want to compete, you have to find any edge that you can, and this could be a major help to them.
Have you or any of your raid groups ever done something like this, globally guild changing?
No, I mean, I've changed tanks before. I went from Vengeance Demon Hunter to Brewmaster Monk for a time, because it was easier to survive through certain encounters in Battle of Dazar'alor, but that's like as close as I've seen people switch off characters, but never entire guilds changing factions and races and things.
Zista, you ever do this?
Me personally, no. I switched off of. I was a undead when Cataclysm came out, and I switched to Goblin because I liked the racials a little bit better, and I kind of wanted to change, but it wasn't just specifically for one encounter. It's just like overall, I feel like this. I'm just gonna do better as this class, but I wouldn't. I did it once in the entire history of WoW, so like it's not something that I would constantly do. But I do remember it was in, I believe, Cataclysm. There was that encounter that had bleed, and I don't remember exactly which one it was off the top of my head right now. But I remember our entire guild going back through Burning Crusade Karazhan to get the trinket off of Morose that stopped bleeding.
Yeah.
And and it's like we're an expansion behind doing this kind of stuff to stop the bleed. Now it was I have this backwards. It was BFA, not BFA, Burning Crusade. It was for the Morose encounter. It was the loofah from Vanilla.
You just gotta
Oh,
start
the
picking
loofah
things.
sound, yeah.
That's exactly what it was, because the bleed on the Morose encounter. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
that was a very popular
Yeah.
thing for people to do back then.
Yep.
Yeah, so like, I mean, we've done that within the confines of the game, but not with like real money, So
Yeah.
I've never been in, like, I've been in progression rating, but I've never been in like world first type progression rating, that extra level of stuff like that. And I just like, even when I was like into progression rating, I just like that, like 2 tiers removed from this is the most serious thing you've ever done in a video game. Guild. I like the occasional troll where the tank sends a healer to their death because they're running too closely and they don't pull. I love stuff like that. And I was
in a US 8 guild rather in vanilla, and we had a lot of fun. It wasn't just all seriousness all the time. We had a lot of fun with that. But I think like the most we did is we had a couple people had accounts that they lent out to people. So like I remember when we did the 4 horsemen for the first time in vanilla, the 40-man raid, I had to switch off my rogue and play a warrior and tank an encounter that I don't ever play a warrior on. And we did the encounter, we finished it. My first kill was on a character I wasn't on, but the way the chests worked back then was I was able to switch to my rogue and still get the loot on my rogue that I needed. So it ended up working out for me. But yeah.
I just thought it was like an interesting change. So, and I also thought it kind of went with what we were talking about here. So let's assume nobody, you do the new player or the returning player we're talking about doesn't have a preference, right? Like they don't have a preference on faction or race or class or anything like that. So we'll keep this very general. And I should put a little disclaimer here. We're going to be talking about our recommendations for Shadowlands itself, not necessarily pre-patch.
Right.
Because things in those two environments are very, very different. The way some things are interacting, there are classes at the top of the DPS charts right now that certainly will not be in those same spots once everything is released in Shadowlands. So just put that little disclaimer. We're talking about the expansion itself, not necessarily the pre-patch here. So first question then, do either of you have a recommendation that you give people for faction, or is it just, if you're talking to a friend, I'm Alliance, so come to Alliance, I'm Horde, so come Horde? That's what it is for me.
I'm in that same sphere. If there's someone who wants to play the game and I like being around that person and spending time with that person, I will recommend that they come and play with me on Horde or Alliance, whichever I'm doing that particular expansion.
Interesting disclaimer. So if you're playing, if you know that Kat is playing Alliance and she recommends you play Horde, that says more about your friendship than it says about her recommendation.
I have always had a lot more fun playing Horde. Personally, I've found the Horde populations that I've connected with to be more supportive overall. But that said, my recommendation to people is always to play whatever looks interesting to you and whatever seems fun. You don't need to be worrying too much about numbers and end game and success in that end game from the get-go. You just need to get into the game and get used to it and have a fun time with your friends.
Kat, you are slowly creeping out of your camera shot.
Really?
You keep leaning. There we go.
Sorry.
Oh no, Ziz's head is gone. Oh my god.
I'm a major proponent for playing whatever's fun. Screw the numbers and the mechanics and whatever else. If you like it, go for it.
No, if you play Horde, you're wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta.
Wow.
And
I don't know. Anduin seems like kind of a little bitch after that last cinematic.
All right. Yeah, I gotta give you that. I gotta give you that one, but I'm still gonna go. I have characters on both, but I'm gonna go Alliance for my recommendation. I gotta be the good guys.
Kat is leading Horde. I just want to say that.
I don't know. Just for me, I feel like the Horde story is always more fleshed out, just from a story perspective.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
The Horde is always just seems more interesting when it comes to the story. Like I ever since Mist of Pandaria, I've been playing both sides. But before that, you would never catch me on the Alliance ever. But now it's like they learned to tell the story differently on both sides, and from playing both sides all the way through to BFA, and going into Shadowlands now, I have max level tunes for both sides. I still prefer the Horde story.
I hated the Orc faction in Warcraft 2, Warcraft 1.
Mm-hmm.
Always played Alliance. Played Alliance when I started WoW because I just thought that the Horde, bunch of bad guys, bunch of ugly monsters, didn't want anything to do with them. And then I played WoW, and getting that fleshed out story I was like,
very humanized.
Orcs are actually really cool. And then I played an orc for years. So
that's the thing is, I think just for that reason that you have right there, they're the monsters, whatever. They're you have that whole. We have to focus a little more to show that they're human. So they spend a little more time crafting that. Where it's like you have a faction that's primarily human based. You don't have to show their human side. They're already human. Yeah.
No, you just
go
call Stravlome and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so individual classes now. We're going to take this as a tank, a DPS, and a healer. DPS we're going to put all in one category, so not melee versus caster. We're just put it all in one category. Recommending a tank for somebody that wants to roll a tank.
Be a bear.
What's that?
I just said be a bear. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I gotta go. I gotta go with druid. I gotta go with druid bear.
I was so enthusiastic about it. I'm sorry.
But there's a strong argument in my heart to be made for demon hunter as well. But I think demon hunter is going to struggle a little more at the beginning of Shadowlands here.
I typically look for that person's play style, like more of just recommending a tank. So if it's someone that has a hard time picking a class to begin with, druid is the best option because they have 4 different specs that they could choose from, so druid is kind of the go-to option. That's why I think all 3 of us were just kind of like that. But if you like side healing and stuff like that, or you want to heal and stuff and not always tank, then paladin and there's
you can't
there's a whole
sit
lot.
on the fence here, Zista.
I'm not on the fence. It depends on the player. That's not being on the fence.
When you talk about
you want alliance or horde? Well, it depends on your play style. What race do you want? Well, it depends on your play style.
I already said it's definitely horde.
We need a ranged DPS tank. We need a mage tank class. Let's go.
I've been saying that for years. I want the warlock to actually be ranged tank.
Oh, warlock as tank would be so much fun. I mean, of course, growing up with like classic and Burning Crusade and stuff, you've had your what are those shadow blobby dudes called? My mind just blanked.
Well, in Grohl's Lair, you had the.
I was just about to say that was like I mained Locke at that time. That was my first, main character that did raiding, and so like Gruul's Lair was like, wait, I have something to do. Like I have a job, not just pews. I have a job.
Even the twin amps back in Classic, we had warlock tanks on the caster one, so. We kind of had a couple encounters along the way, but I would love to see a dedicated range tank.
Yeah.
So I would go druid, but there's a case to be made for demon hunter. It's easy to pick up, as Missy points out in chat, but I do think unless you have a healer that is, kind of hip to your crazy jive a little bit, that it's going to struggle just a little bit to start with. Kat, we'll go to you. I mean, you already said druid bear, right?
Yeah. Brewmaster's pretty fun too, though. If you like the whole drunken fighter thing, I think monks can be pretty neat.
Zista, you're going with druid too, just not only for tanking but also versatility.
Well, me personally, if I was playing, I have to go sword and board. I have to go classic warrior. But like I said, it depends on who you're talking to. Like if I'm trying to recommend something for somebody else, it's gonna be different than what I'm playing. But I just there's something that I love about the classic sword and board warriors. Just like that is my tank if I had to do it.
What should I play?
Well, it depends on your play style.
All right, we'll go with healers next. Kat, we'll start with you since I went first last time.
Druid. I really like Resto Druid. I love being able to bounce around just casting hots on everybody. I have not actually. I did play Holy Priest for a while, and it was all right. Disc Priest I've heard can be fun, but discipline. But I really like Resto Druid. I think it's a blast.
Zista.
So,
I unfortunately also prefer Druid as myself.
See?
That's why I was laughing, just because I have a problem with any characters that stand still because I'm too all over the place, and Druids are the only ones that can move around and heal very easily. But in terms of like in a raid group setting of like what I prefer are healers, I always prefer priests. I think they're a little more versatile with the healing and stuff like that. I just can't stand still enough to do it.
Tarkoth in chat is once again shouting out for monks, Mistweaver.
But it's funny because you look at my account and I think I might have one druid and it's definitely not even max level. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mike Byrne. Welcome to Snowbound, the Druid podcast. All druids all the time. Druid for life. Yeah, I'm gonna go with druid on the healer too. DPS. Let's just roll right along here.
Demon Hunter. Breaking it right now.
You get to start this one.
Yeah. I don't know. I love, because like I said, I have a problem standing still. Demon Hunter, you're backflipping, you're dashing, you're all over the place. Demon Hunter is way too much fun. I've never played a class in this game that is more fun than the Demon Hunter. And I mained a rogue, like I said, for like 12 years. I loved that rogue, and then they changed it. I just did not enjoy I think it was the roll the bones where you get a random effect. It did not seem fun to me. I threw the towel in at that point, leveled the Demon Hunter. Have never looked back. It's never even been a consideration to play anything else.
I'm going to go with Shadow Priest on the DPS side of things. If you're totally new, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with this one. But I think you're going to have a blast. They are set up to be... They're already in a ridiculously good place in pre-patch. They're kind of broken in pre-patch, but they'll be tuned down just a little. But I don't think they're going to be tuned down to a detrimental status. So I think you could have a lot of fun with Shadow Priest, particularly if you're one of those like, I really want to be pumping out the biggest DPS numbers as much as I can, as often as I can. I think Shadow Priest is probably a good choice for you. Kat?
I was gonna say Shadow Priest looks like a lot of fun. I find
They are
Hunter so
disgusting in
boring.
pre-patch.
I'm sorry, Zista. I think Havoc Demon Hunter is so boring because you're pushing like 2 buttons over and over again, and it's just
I
I don't know.
mean,
It's
maybe
always been
you're
weird.
pushing 2 buttons over and over. I'm not.
Maybe you're just trash, Cat.
I didn't say that.
I mean, it's true. I am, but
in the menu, there's a skill book. If you
I
click
also-
that, you pull the other abilities out.
I also I think Demonology Warlock is gonna have a fun time. I personally don't play Warlock, but my husband plays Warlock, and I just love turning around and all of a sudden there's 40 demons in my face, and I just think it's hilarious. I will say I think Havoc Demon Hunter is very fun in PvP, but I don't like it in the dungeons. I don't know.
You mean Zista? I think you're reading Havoc in chat there.
Yes, I'm sorry. I did. Zista. I did. My brain crossed wires there, so sorry about that. But yeah, Warlock or Shadow Priest.
All right,
Embrace the
so
void.
Druid, and Druid. Okay, next.
Yeah.
No.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Good grief. All right, so we've rolled our character. We've leveled it to 50. We've gotten our abilities. Let's assume that we're kind of savvy and maybe we've looked up a guide or so and helped us with our build or a rotation a little bit for Shadowlands as a returning player here. That's all well and good. That's going forward. Zista, we'll start with you. Recommendations, knowing that you only have, I see all these YouTube videos. Oh, here's all the stuff to get ready for Shadowlands, and it's like, max rep with all factions. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Let's put together a little realistic list, right? Knowing that the expansion could be 3 or 4 weeks away, or it could be a month and a half, 2 months away-ish, based on what we predicted on last week's show. What are some things that you think once you hit 50 and you've come out of Chromie time, where should you go to start doing a few things that can actually help prep you in a meaningful way for Shadowlands?
In a meaningful way. So
in a
definitely,
meaningful way.
Definitely mounts, pets, and achievements. Those are the ones I go for.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Go farm
Very
mounts.
meaningful way. Yep.
Pet battles.
Mm-hmm.
Pet battles is number 2 on
all
your
pet
list.
Battles all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see that green
Forget
print
about the
on the map?
Pokemon DLC that just came out last week. It's about the WoW pet battles.
Yeah, WoW pet battles.
Yep.
On a serious note.
Well, like for me, I don't care about gear so much because I know that stuff is getting replaced, right? We have the pre-patch event that's coming out that is gonna give us a lot of catch-up gear.
Yeah, that's gonna be the gear catch-up point for
so
anybody
if you're worried
that's
about getting
ridiculously
your character ready,
far behind.
Yeah, if you're worried about getting your character ready from a gear standpoint, we didn't even get to that part yet. So don't even worry about it. That's why I said for me, achievements, which I call them, achievements, pets, and mounts, those stay forever.
You gotta get cape though,
the
right?
kind of stuff
You gotta get your cape.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna target gear, you gotta grab your cloak, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not as necessary. Well, I guess if you're doing the visions, right? But it seems like all the rewards for the visions went away. You can't get the hidden achievement and the title and mount and stuff anymore for that, But I mean, it's still worth getting the cape.
Kat, what should players returning.
How long has it been? How much story have you missed out
Oh
on?
no, seriously, I've completed the main story for BFA and all that stuff. I did that a few months ago before Shadowlands was, even had a release date at that point. So I'm not the I could do achievements and stuff like that. Sure.
Let me introduce you to a little thing called Hallow's End.
I just realized actually yesterday when I was streaming leveling when the voice came up of Headless, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't do that yet. That's right. I forgot that was running.
So Hallow's End is going on right now, and then there's Day of the Dead this coming weekend. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this weekend, I think. Or maybe it's through the 3rd. Either way, there's stuff to do for those 2 holidays. If you haven't done it yet, there's a lot of fun with Hallow's End, honestly.
There's also mounts, pets, and achievements.
Yes, mounts, pets, and achievements with those holidays. So if you really are just looking for something fun to do, the holidays are always a good time. I mean, it is so much fun to go and stink Bob Stormwind. It's so much fun.
Lost all control.
And then Day of the Dead, you get a cool outfit and you get like cool stuff.
And achievements.
And achievements.
All right, seriously, let's help people get just farm achievements, pets, mounts, and go do the holiday event. The rest of it, you're fine.
If you've seen the content and you're not curious about any current content, there's nothing to really worry about. If you don't need gear because the new expansion is going to be bringing out new gear, I mean, there's only so much to go out there and do if you've already done the BFA.
The war campaign is definitely one that should be done, if not done though.
Yes. Yeah, yep. If you've not completed the war campaign, definitely finish that out. We also have the 16th anniversary of WoW coming up in just a few weeks. I don't know what that's going to entail.
What do we think we're getting? What's our presents?
I don't know. It's probably going to be like a little letter and like a tabard or something. I don't know. But
last year we got a mount.
It was a mount last year.
Yeah, I think it was
last year.
It was the Deathwing mount, I believe.
Yeah, if you did the historical raid like time walk kind of thing that they had, you could get the Obsidian Worldbreaker, which was a mini Deathwing. But then there was also Korak's Revenge, which was the revisit to Alterac Valley.
Oh, that's right.
And if you got enough points and stuff in Korak's Revenge, you could get a couple of other mounts. One for the Horde, one for the Alliance, another Frostwolf, and an updated goat as well.
Yeah.
It seems Joker like says we're going to get an in-game mail from them about how the 16th year anniversary gift is delayed.
I mean, it wouldn't be too far off. But no, that was the 15th, so the 15th is kind of a big monumental number, whereas I think the 10th was that Molten Core when they redid that. So like I don't know if we're necessarily going to get anything crazy like that. I would love to see another old raid brought up, like go through AQ40 again, like have us time walk into that. That would be a lot of fun. Or even the original Naxxramas and just see how many people not be able to complete it. That would be a lot of fun too.
Torturing yourself with time walk Naxxramas. What a blast! I would like to see Korak's come back though. I think Korak's Revenge was a lot of fun. I think it was great to revisit Alterac Valley, and it gave people a lot of incentive to level alts. And with the anniversary event, speaking of which, you usually get the experience and reputation buffs. So another good time to go back and level. Oh, if you don't have allied races yet, they've made those a lot easier to get. So get those. I actually have Mechagnomes now and Kultirans because they removed some of the reputation achievements. So it's worth exploring, worth having.
Well, I think the obvious too is if you're a new player or a player that hasn't played since Wrath of the Lich King, it's not just the main story to catch up on. You have all the other expansion stories to catch up on.
So, what has happened to Sylvanas?
You could take one alt, make a brand new alt, and run them each through a separate story. So,
and by the time you could do it on multiple characters and have yourself a whole slew of level capped characters ready to go.
So then when the holidays come around, like Hollow's End, you have a lot more characters to go farm those pets, mounts, and achievements.
I didn't know. Like I thought it was just a typo in the notes when I initially saw Cheesements. CHEESEMINTS. Cheesements. It literally says in my damn show notes. I did not type this. Cheesements, pets, and mounts.
Yep.
And I was like,
Achievements.
what the hell's a cheese mint? Maybe it's some mage thing I don't know about.
Now
I
you
just
know.
left it alone.
It's like the max rank mage table right now is serving cheese mints
Yeah,
instead of
exactly.
cinnamon
I think
rolls.
maybe it's a mage table. I don't know.
It's what you put on your pillow when you go to the hotels, you know?
Oh, God.
The achievements.
Coming back players, though, will probably be looking for their add-ons and looking for the updates to said add-ons. And Zista, we got a bit of a change coming on where exactly you're going to get these now.
Yep. We're getting these over on Overwolf. They've been producing some add-ons for a while now. They're not kind of new. Like I've been using them recently for Hearthstone, and they have an add-on to keep track of your stats in games like Fall Guys. So like they're doing a lot of stuff. It's not just Blizzard games, but it seems like they bought out the rights to get the stuff from Twitch. And if you're familiar with the Twitch client, because I downloaded the alpha is available right now. I downloaded it off the website. It is the exact same setup as the Twitch client. So if you're used to using that, you're good to go. You really don't have too much to worry about. It's the exact same coding. They got the actual coding. So like you're going to be familiar with it.
Cool.
Any recommended add-on for somebody returning here, Kat?
Total Roleplay 3. And you can
There
see
it
everyone's
is.
messed up character profiles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a role player, so that's very important to me. Deadly boss mods, TomTom. The game has added in-game like map pinning, but TomTom still gives you your coordinates and an easy way of getting around. So I really recommend TomTom, especially since if you go and browse Wowhead for help, a lot of quest guides and achievement guides and pets and mount guides reference TomTom and coordinates. So that's a big one for me.
Yeah, I actually, Joker, that's a good question. Hold, I don't mean to interrupt you, Kat, but we should have covered that. What would you say as somebody who actually does RP and not just runs around naked and pretends they're RPing? What is there a specific class that like caters better than others in your mind there?
I don't know about class, but I've always preferred the bitchy blood elf approach to roleplay.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
A lot of the blood elves, though, the female, they have that resting bitch face. I don't. My maid, she's a blood elf. She's got it. I don't know.
There's one with like a little smile, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's more of a smirk. It's kind of they know something we don't smile. All right, so there's some recommendations for you. Is this any add-ons that weren't mentioned there? I mean, Kat gave
there's one that's kind of new. I don't know exactly how old it is. I just only found out about it maybe 2 months ago. It's called All the Things, and it's great for hunting down your pets, mounts, and achievements.
I'm so glad everybody could join us for the final episode of Snowbound today.
It really is. It's a fantastic add-on. Like all joking aside, it is really good. Like it has everything broken down. So it's like Brawler's Guild, for example. Brawler's Guild was just ending with the end of pre-patch, right before pre-patch went live. I went in there and I'm like, I'm missing a couple like transmog stuff. I'm missing shirts, right? So it gave a list of all the shirts that were in there, all the encounters you had to come across to get said shirts, and it would check them off as you got them and tell you what you had left. So.
Do you not log in on free t-shirt day?
They're different than the ones on free t-shirt day. I did. I also got in, and all the things helped with free t-shirt day to tell me exactly which ones I was missing from that as well. So.
Jason Winter, rip Snowbound 2020 to 2020.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the support.
All right.
Should we talk about like Hearthstone?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Hearthstone, and
okay.
So here's the thing, though. There's some stuff we're gonna talk about. We mentioned that they were gonna have the reveal on last week's show, so here we are with the reveal. But Kat, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes. I'm just gonna cut to Kat. Zista, you and I will remain silent for 2 minutes because Kat really wants to talk to you, Hearthstone people, about the Dark Moon Fair so that you get this shit right. Go ahead, Kat.
Okay, here we go. So it used to be that the Dark Moon Fair hung out outside Thunder Bluff, and it was just a couple of tents, and it was real shitty. Or Elwyn Forest, Goldshire, if you were Alliance. But then they moved the Dark Moon Fair to its own island, and it got way bigger and way more exciting. And it developed this whole new aesthetic. It wasn't just a couple of vendors and tents anymore. It was like a bunch of carnies and carny rides and games. And there was weird shit going on there. Like there's eyeballs everywhere. and some creepy NPCs that would just say some really creepy things. So this fan theory developed around the Dark Moon Fair that really it's just like this front or this agency for the power of the old gods, where they're bonded to some sort of old god. And it's never really been proven in the game of World of Warcraft. It's been talked about, it's been hinted at, it's been teased, but it has never been fully embraced. And now here comes Hearthstone with this expansion pack that's like, the Dark Moon Fair is this force of evil. Here are the old gods everywhere. We are corrupted. Something. And it's gotten really, really cool. And I'm really excited about that part of it. I used to kind of hate the Dark Moon Fair, and I thought it was really stupid. But when you start hanging out there more and more, it just becomes this really fascinating, interesting, dark little corner of Azeroth. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that with Hearthstone. So I'll slow down. Thank you very much.
This has been a public service announcement brought to you by Ready Check Radio. Cat, give it up for Cat. Yeah. The old gods thing was really bugging Cat pre-show, so I had to make sure to give her 2 minutes there. All right, so the Hearthstone expansion, Madness at the Dark Moon Fair. Rewind if you need the lesson again. Scheduled to launch on the 17th, so a couple of weeks here. A couple things, obviously, if you pre-purchase the bundles and stuff, you get early access to a couple different pieces of it, but generally becoming available on the 17th. One of the big items in this, besides, of course, 135 new cards, which we'll talk about a new keyword coming with those cards in a second, is a totally revamped progression system, something that I know Jason Winter has talked about on the free-to-play cast on mmobomb.com with me. Something that I generally thought the game needed to was, for those that maybe aren't as PvP-centric, something more to do, or at least a feeling of more progression in the system. A lot of the achievements are being added.
Achievements?
Yeah, achievements. Sorry,
okay.
Achievements. Yes,
are there pets or mounts?
That just
he perked up like a dog who heard the word
just
bacon.
Saying cheese mints leaves a disgusting taste in my mouth. Like I just picture Altoids flavored like some different cheese, and that Anyway, a whole new progression system. I know you're generally not like huge Hearthstone people. I did, true to my word, played it again this week. And got back into it a little bit. Granted, not a lot of the expansion stuff there yet, but I did start reacclimating myself to the game a little bit. This new progression system does make me a little happy. The whole quest path instead of daily quests, they kind of moved the gold out of there. I'm generally in favor of a lot of these changes, and honestly, Zista, I think many of them probably should have been made a long time ago, and
absolutely,
I think they know that.
Yeah, I know that there's a fresh team, like fresh set of eyes on the Hearthstone team right now, and you can definitely tell that. Something that they had said a long time ago is there never would have been there, like they were ending the classes at the original, what was it, 8 that they had, or 9, and they were not going to add any more. And then all of a sudden, about this time last year, they're like Demon Hunter, and I'm like, what? Like I was shocked. I figure at some point Death Knight would have been the first one to go along, coincide with what WoW had done, but they jumped right into Demon Hunter. I was very surprised. But like it's not even that, like the battlegrounds that they added, which we talked about a little last week, the auto chess system, a lot of fun, something I don't think the other team would have ever gotten around to adding. And now we have the duels, they're kind of like the PvE dungeon runs that we're used to from the solo encounters. And I pre-purchased the smaller, I think it was the $40 bundle for the thing. Just I wanted to try the duels out. They are a lot of fun, and I will actually be streaming the duels this Sunday on the Ready Check Radio channel.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the duels are, like Zista kind of alluded to there, think the PvE dungeon runs that were in the game, except PvP. And you basically have the idea of what's going on there. What, Kat, do you like the idea of like the rewards overall? Achievements are nice, right? Cheese mints are nice, but the reward structure changing pretty much from top to bottom with the addition of the rewards track. Gold from daily quests is now moved out of there and put into the rewards track, so maybe you don't feel like such a bummer when you didn't do the dailies and you just lost out on that gold previously.
Yeah.
Those daily quests now pump experience and you move up the rewards track. Think season pass-ish type progression, by the way. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you haven't seen this yet. But don't think too much season pass, because we're probably going to end up with one of those pretty soon, too.
Now, I mentioned last week, Hearthstone's not really my game, but I'm really kind of interested in this new reward system. I feel like you're being able to work toward more tangible goals like that is more satisfying to me compared to just doing a daily quest for some gold.
Yeah.
I mean, even in WoW, a daily quest can get really boring after a while. And no matter how much the competition in Hearthstone changes up or how much you change up your deck, you're still going to be doing like the same kind of objectives. So I'm interested in this reward system for sure.
The Tavern Pass will be changing. Hero skins. Upgradable hero skins. I thought as stupid as that sounds, like saying that out loud, an upgradable hero skin.
Yeah.
When I saw them, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Great trailer footage.
Yeah, they've been doing them for a while. Like, I had to actually buy one of the bundles to get Deathwing in human form as a warrior. Like, I don't typically play warrior, but I was like, that skin is way too cool to pass up.
Yep.
So
you got weekly quests now too, Kat. Yay. 3 weekly quests. Those can be re-rolled once per day, like the daily quest could too. So lots of chances. Like when you watch the interview on this, and if you haven't checked this out, we have an article on mmobomb.com, the free-to-play site that I work for. Check it out. It has like all the trailers in it, and that's where I get the information because I work there. And plug. And anyway. When you watch the trailer, they talk about this. They wanted this overall sense of you were earning more by playing now. You were earning more by playing because there was very much a feeling of you were logging in to do certain things and then you were leaving. And they wanted this whole revamp with weekly quests, Tavern Pass changes, the rewards track, all of this stuff, the cheese mints, the player profile page, what they're adding. They wanted to you feel like you were being rewarded for playing Zista, which I actually feel like it's why I got out of Hearthstone. I just didn't feel like I was, okay, yeah, every 3 days I'm maybe getting a card I was hoping to get, and that was it. So all in all, I think they're great changes. Great changes. 135 cards in this set. You should know that they did say the achievements are across all play modes and will be in for future play modes as well. There are achievements for things outside of play modes, like collecting cards or collecting full sets. That achievement in particular for Dark Moon Fair will be a little challenging on day one because you need 135 cards to get it. And there's only 135 cards in the set. Mm-hmm. So you'll need them all. But when the mini set adds like 35 cards a little bit down the road, that achievement will still be at 135. So it's very similar to, achievements in WoW getting easier over time. You're going to have that same type of thing going on here. We do have a new keyword, though, Zista. What the hell is this guy all about?
Corrupt. Playing a card that costs more than a corrupt card in your hand gives you the corrupt bonus effect on the card when you do eventually play the card that is corrupt. So it's
so in other words, a mechanic that could only ever work in a digital card game.
Exactly.
Because like, Kat, I totally have a corrupt card in my hand that is cost 3.
Oh yeah,
100% play. Hey, cool. Like it's something that you can work around and play with in the digital space that you couldn't do in like a Magic the Gathering or a Final Fantasy, the trading card game. Yes, that exists. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't like the idea of wanting to save cards for later in a game that relies a lot on RNG and not so much on high strategy. I'm not saying there isn't strategy, Zista, but not high level deck building strategy like plan turn 1 through turn 30 type plans. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I like the idea of trying to save things for later in a game that can be a bit RNG sensitive sometimes. There's definitely a benefit to having something ready. I get it. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out is really, I guess, all I'm saying on this one.
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure if this does it in this, but there's been stuff before where warlocks have certain cards that send them to the opponent's hand, and it forces the corrupt card into their hand, and then like it'll deal damage or something every turn that it's in there, and you have to spend mana to get it out. So I'm kind of under the impression that that's what that's going to do, is it's going to force a card into your opponent's hand where they have to play it to remove the corruption. So you're kind of forcing them to manage their mana in ways that they probably would not have, or play cards that they would not have under normal circumstances.
Cat, I'm seeing your face and I'm seeing chat. Let me tell you about our Lord and Savior Final Fantasy trading card game.
This is a Blizzard podcast, sir.
Oh, sorry. It's absolutely my favorite TCG, and it's literally just called Final Fantasy TCG. So
Okay.
you can see some
I
boxes.
thought it had like some. I googled it real quick and I saw something that was like Opus 12 or something.
Yeah, Opus 12 comes out November 6th. That's the
Okay.
that's the booster set. The booster sets are named Opus 1, Opus 2, Opus 3, Opus 4.
But I am a little excited for the lore of this all, because, you know, like N'Zoth we first learned about from Hearthstone.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy has a ton of Hearthstone. Sorry. Go ahead, Zista. My bad. Go ahead.
I was just saying, N'Zoth, like, we first learned and saw him for the first time in Hearthstone. That wasn't even in World of Warcraft, where the old gods were introduced. So the kind of theory the cat was running with at the beginning of this segment seems very plausible, and I'm actually kind of excited for it.
Are you forgetting Cthulhu?
No, Cthulhu was in WoW. That's what I'm saying. WoW had everything, but N'Zoth was the only one that was introduced in Hearthstone first.
So it's pretty cool. I know that Hearthstone lore is not like WoW canon, but it's really fun to see what they do with it.
We have Medivh running like hot tub parties and stuff, so it's not exactly canon.
Go to that hot tub party.
That one bothers me because of my love of Medivh and Karazhan. But
I love Medivh.
Oh, I love that character. That's such I love that character. Love that character. All right, so check it out. The 17th. Pre-orders up now, and you can get some early access to duels and stuff like that if you do the pre-order. Let's finish off with some other Blizzard news. We got a little bit of Overwatch news. I just wanted to get kind of your take on it, you two. The viewership of the 2020 season and the finals in particular, way down. Like, not just dipped a little bit, way down. This is all according to esports charts. And it should be noted that they did not take into account statistics from Chinese streaming platforms, because there's a lot of difficulty confirming the data's legitimacy. But the other information that was available doesn't look great. The main point of comparison comes from the grand finals match for both seasons. The 2020 finals, in which the San Francisco Shock defeated the Seoul Dynasty, had an average of 46,780 viewers watched, according to esports charts. That's a 61.4% decrease in average viewers from the 2019 grand finals between the Shock and the Vancouver Titans, which averaged 121,000+. Peak viewership also fell. 183,000 plus people stopped in at one point during 2020, while 318,000 plus stopped in the stream at one point in 2019. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, right? COVID.
Yeah.
The switch to YouTube,
I think the switch to YouTube was a big part of it, and COVID too, because a lot of the streams for the regular just leagues, not even like the finals and stuff, but just like some of the regular matches, they were happening at really odd hours. They were happening at like 4 or 5 in the morning Eastern, and I'm like, I'm awake watching sometimes, but not all the time. I'm on Twitch more than I'm on YouTube, so kind of forget about it when it's there. But for something that's at 4 or 5 in the morning, that's not peak time for average people to be able to watch.
COVID and the switch to YouTube definitely factors, obviously, but in comparison to other Activision products, other competitive leagues of theirs, Call of Duty League, really didn't suffer those problems, but they also switched to YouTube. They also had to deal with the whole COVID thing, and not nearly the impact here. Now, a lot of impact being speculated on here is that, the season, the off season, the free agency, we talked about that last week, is going on right now. But Overwatch 2 being a thing is causing a little bit of waning interest, right? Just kind of waiting for
Well,
Overwatch 2.
also,
And then you've got Valorant, which is sucking away some pretty notable names in the Overwatch League.
you also have Jason Winter in the chat who's saying at 5 a.m. is peak time for people in China, which is what really matters. But we just established that we had trouble counting their numbers. So, moving it to their peak time is definitely affecting the ratings over here. And when we're not able to tally the proper numbers in general, that's going to lead to some big disparaging changes here. So,
Kat, do you play Overwatch?
I don't play Overwatch, but I mean, I've loosely followed Blizzard esports for a fairly long time, since the days of like Brood War. I think that Blizzard in general is not committing a lot of resources right now to their esports events, and that includes marketing, promotion, recruitment of good players, of exciting players, those personalities that you mentioned that have switched over to Valorant. Part of that may be just looking for something shiny and new. But because Overwatch has been around for a little while now, and maybe the gameplay's gotten a little stale. I think Blizzard has kind of seen the writing on the wall with their current lineup of products, and I think that the focus is shifting toward Overwatch too, like you said.
Yeah. I think anytime you announce the sequel, then your current live service is gonna take a hit a little bit right off the bat, whether
Yeah.
it's a competitive game or not.
even the group of friends I play with have kind of petered off. I'm like still one of the few people that continually play at this stage, and it's a little frustrating because I still really enjoy the game, but I think it kind of started dying during the Brigida Shield Smash meta, where you were just constantly stunned all the time, and people got really frustrated. And
Yeah.
I know that when a lot of big streamers like Tim the Tap Man stopped playing, but I know he's recently come back, and people are starting to come back now. So I don't know. I'm still
These
hopeful.
things are always kind of in flux. It does
Yeah.
suck that the population dropped that
Those are big. Those
sharply,
are
though.
big viewership numbers. I mean, those
It's a
are
big yeah.
huge drops. And
Mhm.
that's season wide and a finals comparison, not just a hey, the finals didn't do well. I will let you know if you're messing around in experimental mode, you probably want to check out Baptiste. The amplification matrix ability has gone from 5 meters to 9 meters, which means basically you can't fucking miss it, even if you tried to fire
Yeah.
through for double damage or double healing. A lot of concern on this one, just because you can pretty effectively put it in some choke points and now it goes from wall to wall. So, if it comes live, I don't know. A lot of stuff in experimental mode has gone live, so
Yeah.
no reason to think
I'd like
this
to see it
won't.
because it changes the meta a bit. It's because like they'll make it where Baptiste really super overpowered. Everybody flocks to it. So by playing Baptiste, that means the healer that pairs with him changes, and then your DPS kind of changes around that, which forces the tanks to change. So it does change up the meta. It's kind of like a forced thing to do. And then if it comes too much, they'll nerf it. But then people still kind of realize, oh, Baptiste was really strong, and he's still really strong, just not as strong. And it allows people to break out of the traditional meta. So I like when they do stuff like that.
Speaking of the sequel, Kat, we saw some predictions by Metro, who predicted the Overwatch 2 reveal ahead of time, ahead of BlizzCon 2019, and the arrival of Ash, as well as some other things. Metro took to Twitter saying, Overwatch 2 release news, rumors of the next Owl season being delayed until April to make sure that they can launch with Overwatch 2, suggest that the expected beta or even full release of the game would be around BlizzCon in February 2021 is very likely. It wouldn't be unheard of for Blizzard to drop a beta or a release right in the middle of BlizzCon. How much do you buy this one, though?
I would be kind of surprised if it was anything more than the beta, but cool. I mean, if the next Owl isn't until April, then maybe that lines up. I could see the beta coming out in February, though. I really think they'll do a beta run.
Yeah, I think last week I predicted that they would drop the beta for BlizzCon, digital BlizzCon.
Yeah, you did.
Yes,
You
you
said
did.
it first.
You did.
Credits to
Yeah, but you don't have the history, but now we're establishing it. So when you
Yeah.
predict the next thing, we'll reference episode 1 and 2, the only 2 episodes in existence of Snowbound.
I thought you meant the only 2 episodes in existence of me being right on something.
All right, we were going to talk about Chris Metzen's new company. We're running a little short on time, but Metzen getting back into something he loves, doing some tabletop gaming, founding a new company. So good luck to him there. I think
It's called War Chief Gaming.
Yeah,
Metzon's such a dork. I love him.
Yeah,
I really
just
do.
a little bit. And more news about people leaving Blizzard. This time, in the case of Dave Cossack, previously did lore for World of Warcraft, but has pretty much been relegated to Hearthstone. Now leaving Zista. That's not good.
Well, I mean, they seem to have another team going on with Hearthstone right now, and with all the changes that are going on, I think it's a much better game. I'm not blaming any specific person on there, but on the previous team, but just getting anything with a fresh pair of eyes always brings new ideas in, and that's always a good thing.
Before we move off to lore or lies, just wanted to take this moment to remind all of you watching Snowbound, we appreciate your support. Come on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. Follow all of our socials, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Make sure we just brought our new streamers online today for the first time, so the rest of them will be coming. We'll have one for you after this show. You'll be able to catch one of our streamers as well. So it's not just me on my channel anymore. The rest of the team's coming on live. But I should take this moment to let you know, as part of the Blizzard podcast here, Heroes of the Storm is still a thing. Let's slide over and get started with the Lore or Lies segment. So last week, if you guessed that the Artificer was the inventive stretch in our comment, you'd be correct. So mortal souls in Shadowlands are judged by the Arbiter, not the Artificer. That's actually a class in Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons.
A really cool class, too.
Yeah, so totally made up there. Like to thank our resident lore master, Lil Missy. You can see her Twitter information right below on the screen. Make sure you're following her. She supplies us with the data for lore or lies. So just as we did last week, all 3 of us are going to read one statement to you about something World of Warcraft or Blizzard related. 2 of us will be telling the absolute 100% truth, and one of us will have a lie in their statement somewhere. Could be somewhere small, like Artificer versus Arbiter. Could be something big where the entire statement is a fabrication. It's your job to find out which is which and put it in the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or on ReadyCheckRadio.com. So let's get started here. Here we go. Here's mine. Before we dive too deep into Shadowlands lore, there's a lot of changes happening between the factions. There's no longer a war chief for the Horde during what seems like a tentative peace. Instead, they are now run by council. Sister, you're up.
Originally, Goel, aka Thrall, was asked to be the war chief again after Sylvanas' betrayal of the Horde, as he believed in the novel Shadows Rising. I'm gonna butcher this name because I'm really bad at names. So if
Madeline
I butcher
Rue.
it, this is not the lie.
It's Madeline Rue.
Wolves grew strong as a pack, so he urged all 12 factions to serve on a council for the Horde.
Finish it up, Kat.
All right, here we go. I got all these cool names to read. So those who serve on the Horde Council are Chieftain Garad of the Orcs, Chieftain Wemba of the Darkspear Trolls, Greyhoof Far Wanderer of the Tauren, Interim Leader Kalia Menethil of the Undead Forsaken, Valera Sanguinar of the Blood Elves, Trade Prince Hobart Grapplehammer of the Bilgewater Cartelled Goblins, Master Lu Lang of the Hojin Pandaren, Valtois of the Nightborn, High Chieftain Huln High Mountain of the High Mountain Tauren, Overlord Kara of the Orcish Megar clans, Kazakus of the Zandalari Empire Trolls, and Caravan Leader Mira of the Volpera.
Can we just go ahead and give Kat a hand on that one? I mean, that was a lot of names. One of those 3 statements has a falsehood in it. Now, did we throw a bunch of names at you to throw you off track so we could sneak in an easy one? Or is the devil in the details? That's what Lore or Lies is all about. Let us know where you think the falsehood is in the comments below. Now, before we slide over and sign off for the day, we need to check in with our correspondent who will be going live right after the show. Mr. Jason Winter, are you there, sir?
I am here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We are at the end of Snowbound. I'm about to let the other host go and sign off here, but you're going to be streaming right after this show. We'll have a few minutes of wrap up while we shut everything down. The channel will go down for just a second, then you'll be back. What are you playing tonight?
I'm going to be playing Crusader Kings 3. Big shock. I know. It's not like I've ever played that before. But the twist this time is I'm going to let people in chat make most of my decisions for me.
Hey, wait, how's that going to work? You're just they by committee, they vote?
Yeah, basically we're going to have to do votes every time. Like the decision window comes up, there's like 3 choices or whatever. I'll say, okay, chat, do you want choice 1, 2, or 3? I'll try to lay them out best as I can, and they'll have to pick them for me. Best vote wins.
This is going to be a tremendously bad time for you, but probably a good time for this stream. Jason, we'll see you live in just a few minutes. Again, thank you so much for watching the show. Make sure you're following our lore master there at Little Missy. The Twitter information is right below me. For those of you not watching on YouTube, it's LILMISSY 4205 on Twitter. And thank you so much for giving us these great stuff for Lore or Lies. Well, Kat, Zista, another fun show. Thank you so much for being part of it. Kat, where can everybody follow you?
I'm at Cat Named Norris on Twitter.
Zista.
You can find me eating my cheese mints at It's Zista, ITSXIZTA.
I'm Mike Byrne, and that is a disgusting product. You can follow me personally right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Raideo, RAIDEO on Twitter, so you're notified of all the streamers and shows we got going. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.